Hey guys, this is the Marcus Allen Show. Marcus, I want you to tell us what has happened this week for you. I'll be right back.
What an intro, Archie. Well, you've left stage. I'm Marcus Allen Frishman, and this is my show. Of course, Archie Luxury is the producer, the director, my personal assistant, and other illustrious titles that are not so important. We normally talk about life. We talk about some of my eccentric personality traits, my interesting life stories, life experience, a little bit of advice. And when Archie's around, we talk about
I'm back.
life. And he's back. Cheers, Archie.
Diet Coke. Great beverage there. You know, it's funny how whenever you're trying to do things, you always get a call just as you start a show or something. You know, it's Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
What is going on? Tell me this. We've heard about your cars. We've heard about your life. I want to ask you some observations. Okay. So you were adopted. Did you ever get in touch with your birth parents?
Not formally. I suspected and did some research on who my birth parents were, but I did not know I was adopted until I was in my mid-20s. Mm-hmm. And in 2011, I printed a document from my birthplace county of records, Chicago, Illinois. And that document for $15 invited me to unseal the birth records. In America, when you are adopted, they produce a fake birth certificate with a fake name, which becomes your real name. It becomes your... Archie, are we having a video problem? Okay, well, I'm frozen on my end. It becomes your real name. Your fake name becomes your real name. Your fake birth certificate is the only birth certificate. And it's given out to you for public record reasons. However, certain states in America in the mid-2000s changed the state law. It wasn't a federal law. And each state had its own rules. And in Chicago, Illinois, they decided to allow the releasing of the sealed secret birth records of adoptees. I printed that form. It's a one-pager, as I recall, and I printed it in 2011. It sat in my inbox, which I use for all incoming documents and action items, and it would renew itself every week or so. I would see it there. Last year, 2024, I sent in the $15 and the form, and I received back my actual birth certificate. I received back a letter telling me that I had a sibling from the same mother. And for another $15, Chicago, Illinois would share that additional information. My birth certificate, which I have downstairs, I knew we were discussing this. The real birth certificate, which has no legal value, has my actual name on it. And I'll release that at another time, but maybe next week I'll bring the birth certificate up, and I'll have the original birth certificate, the truthful one, and then the fake one. So this letter was very informative, and I put in my inbox the application for the additional $15 to find who out my sibling is, and I don't think I'll wait a decade before I do that. But so the answer to the question is, I have not done any real action to find out or make contact with, I should say, my birth parents. But I'll tell you why I'm not motivated is because I had a fantastic parents. My true parents are not my biological birth parents. My true parents are, in fact, those who raised me from nearly birth.
So the fake certificate, what does it have? Like a fake birthplace, a fake
the fake certificate, the fake one, the one you use to get your driver's license, your ID, your passport, the one that's official, certified. That one has my name as given to me by my birth parents. And the birth
and who does it have listed as your parents then?
It lists my parents as my adopted parents, as birth parents. That's how it works.
Okay.
In America.
So how do you know it's the fake?
How do
you know if you're adopted or not if no one's told you?
There is no way to know. And then when you are told, it's not actually technically accurate until you can get the record, and you have to know where to look for it. So I looked related to where I was born on my adoptive parents' birth certificates. I had a fabulous childhood with fabulous parents.
Did your parents ever meet your adoptive?
I don't know the answer to that. I never had a substantive conversation with my parents about my adoption.
Mm-hmm. Why did your adoptive parents want to adopt? Can I ask you that?
I don't know the answer to that question. I do know that I am significantly delayed in my adoption, my parents adopting, because I had two sisters. One has passed recently, unexpectedly in an operation recovery problem, and the other one is alive. And both of them virtually left home before I became a teenager and an adult. And I lived at home with my parents till I was 26, except for the fact I had residence at college at the same time, overlapping. But as my sisters used to remind me, I
got the inheritance early.
Yeah, I got the inheritance early before death. But let me also say, I like to remind my sisters that I was an only child. Are you listening, Archie?
An only child.
I have reminded my sisters that I am an only child. I'm the one that was picked and selected and planned. And I lived at home alone with my parents for my entire life. My siblings had moved out and gotten married very early. So I don't have a particularly close relationship with either of my sisters. I talk with them once every few years, once every year. My mother made me promise that if ever invited to a family gathering of the sisters, I would go. My mother made my sisters promise that they would invite me. And until the COVID pandemic, once or twice a year, I was invited by my sisters to join them at their family gathering, Thanksgiving or whatever it was, once or twice or three times a year. And I never missed one.
So they were Frishmans, were they?
Yes, sir.
Interesting.
So I will hold as a hook the real birth certificate, which has the real birth name on it, and it's quite a regal name, I should say. But we'll hold off. Let's not give it all away.
What stopped you trying to find out about your birth mother? Would be in her 70s now, wouldn't she?
My birth mother, well, if I'm doing this by memory, Archie, the birth certificates that I just received said recently, as I say, because I had that form since 2011, but only mailed it in with $15 last year, got an answer from the agency in Chicago, Illinois. It says, if I do this memory correctly, that my mother was 21 or 22, and my father was about 10 years older than her. In my birth year.
Were they husband and wife?
Yes, I believe
they were married.
Yeah, it indicates marriage. Yeah.
So they decided to give up their. Geez, that's very interesting, isn't it?
Well, what's even more interesting is I went to. There was an address on the birth certificate.
Yes.
For both of them, and I looked up my address of record, and it is a beautiful apartment building in Chicago, built in 1922. I found it on the internet. There are apartment rentals. It rents, the studios and one bedrooms rent for slightly under $2,000 a month now. It's a beautiful brick building. And the link gives you a 340-degree view of the neighborhood. It looks like it's an apartment building built in what is a residential community. It looks quite lovely, actually. And they had some apartments for rent, and I poked around at it.
The surnames, did you Google them and try and find?
I quickly did, but the problem is it's somewhat of a common name. And, well, let me rephrase that. It's not common, but there are a lot of people with that name, so it's not possible right now. There is a way to do that, Archie, and when and if I decide to, we'll find them. But right now I'm going to fill out the form, pay the additional $15 because the letter attached to the birth certificate says, Marcus, you have a sibling from the same mother. And we will give you that information for $15 more. So I'll send it in. I haven't done it yet. You know, people that search for their birth parents are missing something in their life. Okay. And I don't want to hear from the people that say, I don't know what I'm talking about, because I do. This is my subject. This is me. Yeah. I wasn't missing anything in my life. My parents were fabulous. I have no family problems that I can recall of any significance. The only problem in my family was me. I was the one causing trouble as a teenager. I was the rebel. Now, I didn't use drugs. I didn't, do stuff. I just caused trouble. I threatened to streak at my middle school. I never streaked. It was during the streaking time of the what was that, the late 70s. So I threatened to streak. I got suspended for causing a major disruption because I may have been the only person not outside the classroom looking for the streaker. The teachers even adjourned their classes to wait for my streaking moment, but I, of course, never showed up. I got suspended for that. It was a lot of fun, though. Mr. Nardo, the middle school principal, suspended me for causing a major disruption on campus. And all I did was tell people during lunch, hey, I'm going to streak at whatever time it was during the day.
Would you have done it?
No, absolutely not.
Tell me this, when you were growing up as a kid, what sort of car did your parents drive?
Always a Cadillac.
Cadillac!
Yeah, Cadillac. I learned how to drive on a Cadillac.
Was your mum and dad, were they a two-car family or one car?
For a long time, well, we always had two cars that I remember most of the time. But my mother didn't want to drive until late in life. And Archie, when she finally did learn to drive, I must have been a teenager, I would say. She wouldn't drive the freeways, although I understand that's still a common thing for many drivers in America who don't drive the freeway. It's a thing. So we had then two cars, but often my father, we had moments where we'd only have one, and my mother sat in the back seat. I sat in the front seat with my father, and that's just how we did it. And I think the last Cadillac was a Cadillac Brougham. I think my father also had a Buick of equivalent status line, but we had Cadillac after Cadillac after Cadillac. I remember he bought himself.
I want to ask you, how long did he keep every Cadillac for? What was there a set period? Like he'd keep it for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years?
It's kind of hard to remember, but I think he kept his cars a bit longer than I, 3 and 4 years. My longest car ever was 6. I suspect he got a new car every 4 or 5 years or so. My dad liked cars, but he loved Cadillacs. He liked luxury. Now, we also had a cabin cruiser. And this cabin cruiser was fit for the ocean, but my father and I wanted to ride it in lakes. So we used to lie. He used to lie about the size of it as we pulled it in a trailer on the back of the Cadillac. And we went all to the local California lakes, Los Angeles lakes. There's a whole bunch of them in California. We even went to one in Nevada. But we would on weekends attach the boat, which was kept at a storage facility. It was a 38-foot.
This was a wooden hull boat or a fiberglass boat?
It was a cabin cruiser.
So tell me this: what color Cadillacs did your dad buy?
Gold.
By the way, let me assure you, Buick is definitely not in the same class as Cadillac.
I remember
Buick is upper middle class.
Yeah.
Cadillac is for the elite.
Well,
please do not ever on this stream
talk about a Buick.
Ever say a Buick is anything. It is a step down.
I don't know why during this brief period of time we had a Buick. You know, I just got in the car. But yes, my dad was a Cadillac.
Do not do that ever again.
When I was a kid, the Cadillacs had large fins on the back.
I know the Brogums. That is actually one of my favorite Cadillacs. They were a rear-wheel drive. They were a proper Cadillac. And
we also had...
So that would be like a 90s Cadillac, 80s, 90s. Did you remember? I don't know if you remember in the 70s. So you're similar vintage to me. You remember I used to watch a show called Different Strokes.
Yeah.
And the interesting story, the subplot to that was that Mr. Drummond, he didn't actually own that apartment. He was leasing it. And he had a Cadillac in the show, which was the Cadillac factory, slightly stretched Cadillac. Did you know that?
No.
Yes,
I watched that show as frequently as you.
But do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Because
now my dad had a Cadillac. It was a coupe with big square windows on the back.
I'm not going to
a two-door.
Just hang on. I want to.
Yes, we actually had a lot of Cadillacs.
He loved them, didn't he?
He loved his Cadillac. I learned how to drive on that car.
Okay. Just hang on, please. Would you hold on one moment, please?
I'm holding. I brought up a few watches to show you.
Just before we do that, we have to do this because I want you to see this, please. This is very important. I want you to see this now, okay? Just hang on there with me. Here we go. We're going to play it.
The theme.
Now the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you?
Oops. That's the theme.
Now the world don't move.
Hang on. We want to see the. We want to see.
Now the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you may not be right for some. A man is born, he's
Okay, look at this Cadillac. It's very comfortable Cadillac.
a man of means. Then along come two. They got nothing but the jeans, but they got different strokes it takes. Different strokes it takes. Different strokes to move the world.
Yes. There you go.
It's a stretch. Do you see what I'm saying?
That's not, well, that might be a Brougham, but that's a limousine.
Yes, that was a factory original limousine. Just have a look.
Everybody's got a special kind of story.
See, it's got the extra back bit.
Yeah.
77, they did that. 1977. Even though
Everybody finds a way to
It's funny. You know, what I find so hilarious about this.
shine. It don't matter that you got not a lot. So what? You'll have theirs and you'll have yours and I'll have mine.
Okay, so that's his Cadillac.
And together we'll be fine. 'Cause it takes different strokes to move.
Okay, I just want to harp on the fact that, like, if you were doing a show about a wealthy man in Manhattan today, he wouldn't be driving a fucking Cadillac. He'd be driving a Mercedes or a Bentley, wouldn't he?
Well, I know a billionaire that uses a Escalade in New York City.
Yeah, Escalades are quite.
Everybody wants,
but I'm just
SUVs now.
Yeah, it's a very sad time, but there we go.
Yeah.
Just showing you the Cadillacs. Now, I also wanted to point out to you. See, I'm a big fan of the Brogums. Let's bring them up. We'll bring that up. This is one of my. This is an 80s.
Brougham.
This is 80s, right?
Brougham.
Now, they did these up until 1993. Let's have a look at 93. This is the one I love. I love that rear wheel is covered. You see what I mean? The wheel is
Yeah,
actually covered. Do you understand what I'm saying? The wheel,
it's beautiful.
the wheel. I just think that is one of the most classic design elements of these vehicles. Look at this. Look at that. It's got the rear wheel half covered. You see that?
Yeah, that's the Brougham. It's beautiful.
And this has got, yeah. What do you think of this? This is, I don't know why America doesn't fucking make these anymore. What the hell? It's 1993, 51,000 miles. I mean, this was
the last of the big cars, Archie, was, I believe, the Lincoln Town car, which stuck around until at least 2000. Early 2000.
See, that's what I call a Cadillac, and they made these into hearses. They made them into stretch limousines. You don't see stretch limos like you used to. They used to be a. Look at this. That, I mean, that's you. Does this lounge suite look familiar to you?
Oh yeah. Well, no. Well, yeah.
So your parents always had Cadillacs. Did they ever go German at any stage?
Hold on a second. That seat is connected, right? There's no hole in the middle.
Yes,
because I always sat in the middle. I think that whole piece moves back.
Yeah. Did your parents ever go German?
No. No, Cadillac. I think my dad had an extra a car. My dad bought a 1960, I can't remember, it was 67, 64 Mustang. He had it refurbished like new, except for the dashboard, because he wanted to keep the age of the dashboard. But he put in new seats and everything was new on that.
He never had a German. Did your parents ever have a sports car?
No, my dad was not a sports car man. He, as I say, he had a Mustang.
What sort of business was he in? What business was he in?
He worked at he had a club in Los Angeles called the City Club. I believe it was called hold on, let's get back. It was called
owned it?
Hold on. It was called the Pico Burnside Baths. And it's now called, and it's still there on Pico Street and Burnside Street. It's called the City Club. I haven't been there in its new name. And he was a partner, if I recall, with a man named Ellis. I don't remember Ellis's last name.
It was the Pico Burnside Club, is that right?
Pico Burnside Baths. But the place is still
What's
there.
Baths? Say that again. Pico Burnside Baths. How do I spell that?
Baths, like a bathtub, because it's an old Russian spa. And it was called, look up City Club. There's something called City Club, and I believe that's where it's at now. Let me look. LA, it's in Los Angeles. City Club. City Club. Yeah, here it is. City Club, Premier Los Angeles Social and Dining Club. That can't be right. Look, Archie, it was a long time.
He owned it, did he? He owned the club?
It was a bathhouse.
I see.
And his partner was named Ellis. Look, we're going back too far. I don't know the details. I'm looking it up right now because I have looked up that club. City Club bathhouse. Let me see, bathhouse. Because I'm getting some hoity-toity.
Would they let you in as a member?
I found it. All right, I found it. In Los Angeles, City Spa and Health Center is well-known bathhouse and spa offering traditional Eastern European banyai experience.
Oh, was your father Eastern European background?
Yes. It's known for its natural rock sauna, cold plunge, and various other amenities. City Spa is located 5325 West Pico. But yeah, Pico and Burnside. That's it. And apparently it is there. Single visits.
So have I got the wrong one here? What is it? Is this the wrong one?
I'm reading it off the internet. I just looked up City Club Bathhouse. Pricing. Single visit, $75. 10 visit package, $650. Now it's co-ed. It was only for men and boys back then. I think they might have had a female day or a family day. Well, wait, I'm looking at mine. Let me see.
City Club Bathhouse, LA. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I put. City Club Bathhouse, LA. City Spa. That's it. The top one. Yep, that's it.
Oh, I see.
And it looks the same.
You remember being there?
I do. I remember my father taking me to, in the morning.
How did they make money running a bathhouse?
Makes a lot of money, I presume. Well, by the way, it was the location for the rich and famous and the stars. And the idea was it was a dive. I think it still is somewhat of a dive. The location that it's in is just terrible. I mean, it's still terrible. Pico, Burnside, if you know the location, it's a shithole location. But that's the joy of it all. It's nothing has changed. My dad would sometimes, I didn't want to do it, but sometimes, you know, I didn't like waking up early, but he would get me up at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and we would go to breakfast at a place called the Bagel Nosh on Fairfax in the old Jewish community, which was, 45 minutes away from where I lived on the freeway. It was a long drive. And we'd go to this deli called the Bagel Nosh, and we'd have a deli breakfast early, very early. My father was an early riser. It was very strange. I did never take after him on that. And then we would show up to the club. I call it the club. He would call it the bathhouse. And I would go up to the restrooms, meaning not toilets, meaning the sleeping rooms. And I would just sleep all day. And at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we would head home. That place was open till, all night. It had a full, I remember if I wanted a lunch there, I'd get the most magnificent skirt steak. And Ellis, the other owner, he was the cook. He would be in the restaurants cooking the food. My dad would administer the plate. He called it a platesa. I don't know if you know what that is. It's another story.
Oh, it's over 70 years.
Yeah, well,
was your dad?
It would have to be. I mean, my dad worked there almost all my life that I can recall. That's where he went every day. You asked me some. Well, I don't know if you want to change topics, but I have some interesting. I brought up some interesting watches.
Yes.
People on your comment chain. I go through it at the end of our shows. I don't look at it while we're on, usually. And I noticed people say, this guy. They say this guy doesn't have 100 watches. It's amazing how people just doubt what you say. I must be born from a different type of seed, because when someone says something, I believe them. I don't question it. I accept what you say as truthful, no matter how outrageous, at least as a strong possibility. I don't doubt people. I'm not a doubtful person until you earn being doubtful. If you earn it on a personal level, if you lie to someone personally, it's hard to earn that back. But for people just to say, no, he doesn't have 100 watches. I'm not even sure how many watches I have, because there are so many. I may not have 100. I may have more. I may have less. I brought up a few because you asked me. And I thought,
I wanted to ask you just quickly there, your father, so he founded the bathhouse, or he bought into this business? What happened?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Okay. That's all before my...
Okay, so he had the bathhouse. He made a lot of money. He always had Cadillacs.
Always had Cadillacs. He had a
You lived
Bronco.
in which suburb of LA did you live in?
You know the Bronco?
Which suburb of LA did you live in?
What?
Which suburb of LA did you live in?
I lived in Los Angeles, near Beverly Hills, and I lived in Calabasas, California.
That was a very upper middle class suburb?
It's about as upper class as you can get in Los Angeles, both communities. The Calabasas, the small Calabasas neighborhood is the home of...
What does the house go for there now?
In Calabasas?
Yes.
I left Calabasas personally a few years ago where I held my own residence. A home in Calabasas, look it up, but I'm going to make a pretty darn good guess. The home prices range from, I want to say, 2 to 3 million on the absolute low side to 25 million on the high side. Some are more expensive, but though
What do you think your childhood home would be worth now?
I already know. I tried to buy it in 2005. In 2005, it was worth about 1.6 million. It was only
so it's about 5 now.
Yeah, it was 2005 when I was looking.
It's worth about 5 million today.
I don't know its current value. It was a beautiful 3-story home. It was called a tri-level. It was only 3 bedrooms, but it was very, very nice. And I went to middle school and high school and college during the time we lived in Calabasas.
What you buying it? It was 2DA. You didn't have the funds. What was the thing?
I bought in a different neighborhood. I left Calabasas in 2005 or 6, and I moved to a neighborhood called Porter Ranch.
Oh, I see. So
we moved out of Los Angeles, Beverly Hills area when I was about 8 or 9 or 10. We moved to the San Fernando Valley. We moved to Calabasas. Briefly, we lived in Woodland Hills. And then we went to Calabasas, and I lived there my whole life. In fact, when my parents retired from Calabasas to Palm Beach, I bought a home in Calabasas and lived there from 1991 to 2005. Or 1993 to 2005. I can't remember all the years. And then I tried to buy a house in Calabasas. I made 16 offers on homes in 2006. 16 offers. But I couldn't. This was the peak of the market. People were waiting in line. The place I finally bought in my current neighborhood, there were lotteries. 300 people would show up for the lottery with a check, and there were 6 homes available, and you'd have to wait 6 to 9 months before you could get it. You would prepay, and that's ultimately where I bought. The peak of the market in 2006 in America was craziness. The prices were going up with every purchase.
Oh, I don't know if I read the super chat. We'll do it again. Black Cat 997, $5. As a great American myself, I completely agree with the facts described in Mr. Frishman's story. Now, I wanted to ask you, your mother was a homekeeper. Was that correct? She stayed at home. Did she ever work when you were a child?
No, she never worked. She stayed at home my whole life until her later years when she decided she needed to do something. So she got a job at a place called Casual Corner in a very upscale mall near Calabasas. And she went to work there as a clothing seller. And it was called Casual Corner, a nice little.
Did she enjoy it?
Oh, she loved working.
Did your mother ever have a Mercedes at all?
No, my mother really didn't like driving. She did drive, but she didn't need her own exclusive car, although sometimes she had one.
Did your mother ever get anything from Chanel or brands like that? What brands?
I believe my mother's favorite cologne was Joy and Oscar for ladies. I distinctly remember Oscar because I never liked the smell of Joy. I don't know who makes Joy, but it's an upscale cologne. Oscar for ladies, the traditional Oscar is called Oscar. Oscar de la Renta makes many colognes, and she got the traditional Oscar, and for years I would buy every girlfriend I had.
Oh, that's Jean Pateau. Jean Pateau.
It smells so fabulous. Oscar for ladies.
I see.
Try that one day. It's a very heavy, musky, old woman smell, but I love it, and I used to buy it for all of my girlfriends almost.
Oh, I see. Yes, good point. Now your mother.
My mother used Merle Norman products. She loved Merle Norman. It was a lot international product line. It had a comeback in the 90s where they did their own brick and mortar stores around the country.
What luxury goods do you remember your father having? Did he have an expensive watch?
My father and mother, my mother was the luxury good woman, not my father. My father was a very simple man, except for his luxury toys. He liked motorcycles. He came to me one day and he said, Marcus, should we buy a boat or a plane? And we went looking at boats and planes. And he ultimately owned 3 boats. But I remember the moment. I must have been 12 years old. And I said, Dad, buy a boat. Now, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. Because I went with him to classes when I was 16 and I became a skipper. In Marina del Rey, we took classes. I wasn't actually old enough to be formally licensed, but I took the class with him so he could become a skipper for the cabin cruiser we in the end had. We should have gotten the plane. I will tell you that. Then he came to me one day when I was even younger and he said, should we buy a horse or should we buy a motorcycle? And of course I made the mistake and I said, Dad, we should buy a motorcycle. Boy, I wish we bought the horses because we probably I'd have a horse by now. But we bought a motorcycle and several motorcycles. He started me with an Italian bike called a Roma. You'd have to look it up. It was a very rare Italian bike. And then I got a Honda and a few others along the way. One day, I fell in the hills of the San Fernando Valley near Los Angeles. I fell. My bike collapsed on me with a full tank of gas. A fire started on the bike. There was a rattlesnake off to the right. It was a terrible experience, traumatic for me. It was the only time I've ever fallen. And we used a dirt bike because I wasn't legally allowed to drive in the streets, although my dad let me. We would ride in the hills. When that happened, I never rode a motorcycle again until 2023 when I bought a Honda Rebel. A Honda Rebel, I bought it in my boredom of the COVID pandemic lockdown. The Honda Rebel visually looks like a top of the line motor. What's that very classic motorcycle? The
Harley
Archie.
Davidson.
Thank you. It looks like a classic Harley Davidson, but it doesn't come with the price tag and it doesn't come with the snob appeal, but it is a fabulous bike. The reason I bought it particularly is because it's very light, but it visually looks like a Harley Davidson. It's called the Honda Rebel, and my Honda Rebel's powder blue, and it's gorgeous, I think, and it's in the garage, and I just drive it in circles. I've never gone anywhere with the bicycle except the motorcycle to get gas. And I dread those moments because I have to drive on busy streets with cars. So I live in a mountainous 13 gated community neighborhood, and I drive in circles on the well-manicured, tailored streets because I refuse to drive in any street that is not well-manicured. I don't drive off-road, and I don't drive near cars unless I have to get gasoline.
No, that's why you haven't died. That's why you're not dead.
Yeah,
okay?
Exactly. And I don't want to wear all that gear. I have to wear a helmet due to California law, but I'm in penny loafers, white socks, hard leather penny loafers with white socks, shorts, Bermuda shorts with cleats. And
let me ask you something. When were you first aware that your parents had more money than average people?
Well, I wouldn't put it like that. I lived in Calabasas, and I would say most of the people around me had more money than us because they all lived in much more expensive homes. We lived in what was called Calabasas, part of Calabasas Park and Braemar, Calabasas. And I would say those were the lower end of that luxury neighborhood now occupied by the Kardashians and ruined by them, and that's why I left.
Yes,
where the Kardashians live now.
So did you?
Hoity-toity to live there. I don't like the crowd, so I moved.
Wow, I see what you're saying. That's so.
Let me tell you something, Archie. I may be a bit pompous. I may like luxury goods. I may be a unique character, but I don't. I am not a snob. I don't look down on other people by virtue of wealth or class, and I don't judge others in any negative way in that regard. So
no, we certainly do not tolerate that on this show.
Nope, not my style. And Calabasas has become all about that. Calabasas is if you look it up, it's, what is it, the 9th or 10th wealthiest neighborhood in the country. It is about 12,000, 13, 14, 15,000 people. It is 9.5 miles north of Malibu. It is in the West San Fernando Valley. It is an enclave of a community that used to be very nice when I grew up in it. It used to be very nice after my parents retired to Palm Beach, and I bought my first home in it. But I'm glad, even though I made 16 offers on homes in 2006 at the height of the market, none of them took my offer. And I had to move out and move to a new development. I bought a home from a builder instead of buying a home from a person who already lived there. So I bought a new home to order. And that's where I live now.
Yes. So you're really a self-made man. Besides the fact that your parents gave you an expensive education, you really didn't inherit much from them.
No, I inherited virtually nothing. As I like to say, my sisters stole my inheritance and they sent me a small check. I didn't fuss with it. And I got a box of stuff. It was shocking to me that I got this box of stuff because the most important thing was the box of stuff. It wasn't the money. And it's very interesting that my sisters would send me a box of stuff. And I looked at it going, my God, this is the valuable stuff. This is my father's old military IDs. This is the teapot that my mother collected and worshipped. And I have this teapot downstairs.
What type of teapot is that? What brand of teapot?
I don't know. It's beautiful. You want me to bring it up right now? It's gorgeous. I think it has a, you wind it up and it has a, inside the teapot, although you can use it for real tea, it has a, what do you call it? You wind it and music comes out of it. It's a music box. Yeah.
Tell me this. What brand of watch did your father wear?
My father wore a variety of watches, and I don't remember anything being significant in brand name. Elgin, Hamilton, the old style. But he had one watch that I really loved. Remember, I didn't become a collector. He bought me this watch for my graduation.
Yes.
For my graduation, my father bought me, where the hell, how can I get this watch?
That was an expensive watch, by the way.
Back then, a little over $13,000. It was a few $100 less than the Rolex President. It is 18 karat gold.
Could you have chosen a Rolex President?
What?
Would he have bought you a Rolex President?
Interesting you say that. My dear friend Travis, who bought his gold President at the same time that I bought this, we debated. Travis said, well, I won't have anything but the President. It's the best watch. It's the only watch to have. And I said, but Travis, everyone with any money that buys a gold watch buys a Rolex President. It is 1989, 1990, 1991, something like that. 91, I think. And I'm going to buy the Cartier because it's refined, it's thin, and I just love it. My friend still has his Rolex. And I have this. I took it off in 2005. I had it reconditioned. As you can see, it looks pretty darn good. I had it reconditioned and I never wore it again. But from 1991 to 2005, I never took it off for showers, swimming, nothing.
It's not really that waterproof.
Well, it's not that waterproof, but it's good enough to, put your hand a few feet under the water. It's never had a problem, although I've gotten batteries. But there it is. And I bought this one. You'll like this. I bought this in mid-2000s to match it. I bought the stainless steel version from Cartier Beverly Hills. You can see in the mid-2000s, it's the same size watch. I think they have
This is a quartz one, or this is a...
They're both quartz. And right now, Cartier makes...
I actually had one of those. That steel one you've got there. I had one of those.
Beautiful.
Similar vintage, yeah. It's got a nicer bracelet than the other one. The clasp is nicer.
Right. Oh, yes. Well, yeah. let's take a look at those clasps. Yes, you're right. Well, it's the more modern watch. I can't show this very well. You asked me last week about dress watches, and you asked it a couple of times, would I wear this or that as a dress watch? And I kept saying no. I want to show you what I do wear as a dress watch. So I wear my JLC Reverso.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's a beautiful watch.
Oh, what the hell? We got to get rid of this background. The JLC Reverso.
Now, when you flip it, you're supposed to push it into the side. Don't flip it on top.
Oh, really?
Yes.
All right. It's a beautiful, beautiful watch.
Where did you buy that from?
Kind of a bulk from JLC.
You bought that brand new, I take it.
I bought this brand new. I believe this is the, can you see it with this stupid? Okay, I believe that, I'm sorry, I don't believe, I know. This is called, this is called the Reverso, the Spanish word for large.
It's the
Grande.
Grand.
Thank you.
Grand, yeah, Grand.
This is the Grande, and I believe it was about $11,000, if my memory serves me.
Yeah.
And it's the dual face. The other side is
your dad. There was nothing special about the watches he had. On your mum, did she have Cartier jewelry?
My mother had a lot of jewelry, but look, I wasn't focused on any of that They died. They retired in '91. I had my first real watch in '91, so really I wasn't focused on that.
Oh, they retired in '91.
Yeah, they went to Palm Beach and left in a flurry. This
and they didn't quite tell you that, did they?
No, they cut me off in '91.
And was that upsetting at the time? How upset were you?
I was very upset. I couldn't pay my rent or any of my.
How old were you?
26, maybe.
So you had been told you were adopted?
No, I mean at that time.
Yes.
No, I didn't really learn it
because you said you found out at 25.
Mid 20s, so maybe 26, 27. Here's another dress watch, Archie. This is a beautiful. It's called the Railroad Watch by
Yes,
Omega.
I know the watch.
You know the watch?
Cool.
I
Yes.
bought this at Turno. You know Turno?
Yes. You really should buy secondhand. You know that?
Well, yeah. Well, I bought a few secondhands, but they've been unworn, meaning not like new. They were new, but they were pre-owned. I have a few of those. I want to show you another dress watch. We talked about dress watches. Do you know this watch? This is the 18 karat.
Bell?
It comes with a gold bracelet, but I don't have it. It's a Tiffany and Company. It is their Torso, the top of the line Tiffany watch, if in fact it was on the bracelet. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous. 18 karat gold clasp. I bought the bracelet. I bought the strap on Worth Avenue at Turno. It's not a Tiffany strap. And I bought it from a lady named Kathleen in Worth Avenue in Palm Beach when visiting my parents. It is a beautiful, beautiful dress watch. I don't know if you like this watch. It's a bit small. For the time, it wasn't. Another dress watch, Archie. I want to show you this. You're going to like it. This is my first Rolex that forced me to take off the Cartier that I wore from 1991 to 2005 when I bought from Polachek Jewelers in Calabasas, California, a Rolex dealer. I bought this beautiful Datejust from Rolex.
Wow. Oh, yes.
They had this reconditioned in Rolex Asia a few years ago, and I never put it in a few years ago, 2014, and I never put it back on my wrist ever again. It is a beautiful watch. It is all reconditioned by Rolex because it was my daily wear from about 2005 to about 2009. And then I never wore it again. And I wish I could give you a close-up of the face. It is a parchment eggshell colored, beautiful face. You see it?
Yes, yes,
Gorgeous.
yes.
That's small enough to be a dress watch. And then,
So tell me this, it's interesting. Your parents were quite well off, but they never had really any branded stuff you could remember, like Rolex or
no, I
Cartier.
really don't remember
And
that.
when your father, we got Ron Irvine, New Zealand $1. Thank you. Ron Irvine, $2. Please remove. We got it. He's actually got trouble with his blue screen. He can't remove it. The green.
Yeah, we're going to
screen.
figure out what to do with
Please
that.
remove. His problem is when he removes it, it brings up another. Actually, I think it was better with the other screen. Now, I don't understand. I think. Just go back there. Virtual background. Click on virtual background.
I'm hitting no screen right now. Here we go. Boom. No screen brings this.
Okay, now let me ask you something. On that settings there, right?
Yeah.
Is I have green screen. Is that ticked?
No. You want it ticked? I'll tick it now. I ticked it. There it's ticked now. Now, if I hit none again, it does nothing because I'm already at none.
Just pull up a watch now. Pull up a watch.
Oh, okay. Stand by. Here's my.
That's actually much better. That's far better. Let's
it is much better. Absolutely right. Let's just leave it. Right. Okay. Yeah. So, oh yeah, look at that. My arms come through. So this is a beaut. Well, we missed out. Let's recap. This beautiful.
Oh, actually, I remember that. I think that's the Jubilee dial. Yes. I actually had one. That's a 16200. The reference number is
2005, brand new Polachek.
Yeah.
And then of course I wanted to show you the Turno watch I bought. It's the Omega Railroad. I believe
I'm
they
just
made
really curious. Your parents were so well off, but they never really had brand. Like when your dad bought you that Cartier, what was he wearing then?
I don't recall. I really don't. I bought the Cartier alone at the Cartier store as a gift. He paid for it. This is my recap. This is my Tiffany & Company 18 karat gold. I think it's called the Turaso. Archie, do you remember the name of it? The point is, it is their top of the line watch. It comes with a gold bracelet. But
that would have cost a lot of money, but it's not that desired now.
No, they still make this model. It was a little over $4,000 back in whenever it was bought. And then we have my two Rolexes. These two, anyway. The Explorer and Explorer 2. Some people call this the Explorer 1. It is not. It's called the Explorer and the Explorer 2.
Yes.
So there's the Explorer 2. This is the Explorer. And then, of course, I'm wearing the James Cameron Deep Sea, which, of course, is the Submariner on steroids. As you can see, it's beautiful.
Yes.
And, Archie, we have the graduation watch and then the update. But I want to show you this watch and ask you your opinion. You asked me about dress watches. This is the one we just talked about. But I want to ask you, what do you think of this? It's called now, you never talk about off-brands or independents. I have a load of them. I bought this simply because I thought it was beautiful, completely ostentatious, great with a suit because it bulges out in just.
What brand is that? Is it Daniel Roth, is it, or what is it?
It's called a Eleni, E-L-I-N-I, Nazar model.
I've never heard of it.
It's just a whatever. I bought it at an auction, but I think it's beautiful. The Lucky Eye. That's what that is. And here's one you will like, Archie. The Pilot watch.
The IWC. It's beautiful.
IWC Pilot watch from the early 2000s. I rarely wear this. I may not have worn it since early 2000s. But, I went into the vault and I pulled out some of the watches and I thought you'd like to see them. I have more next week.
Thank you. Thank you so much. they're very interesting, I must say. I wanted to ask you there. You went to Beverly Hills High School?
No, I went to Agoura High School, A.E. Wright Middle School in both Agoura High School and A.E. Wright Middle School serviced Calabasas.
I see. And tell me this. Your parents' Cadillac. See, would you even consider buying a Cadillac or never?
Never. I never wanted.
Never wanted one?
I told my dad. One day, my dad rented me a car between. There was a car that he bought me that was stolen. It was a Camaro, brand new orange colored Camaro. I had it a month or so. It was my first car. That was a hot car back then, the Camaro or the Trans Am.
Yes, it was.
I wanted the Camaro, not the Trans Am. I got it, brand new, orange colored. It was stolen quickly. So he rented a car for me, and it was called a Pacer.
An AMC Pacer.
They were
that ugly car. They were ugly. They were ugly as fuck.
I loved it. I loved it. And I said, Dad, I want a small car. So he bought me a Z. It was called a Nissan a Datsun Z. I bought the 260. Then later he bought me the 280.
Those Nissans, those old Nissans are worth a lot of money now.
Yes, I see that. Then he bought me a 280ZX, which was the anniversary edition 280ZX in 1984. And so, Archie, we have a.
How old were you when he bought you that?
The 1984. Well, there were two Zs. I had a 260, and then a 2000. It was a 1984 280ZX anniversary edition out of the showroom. And I would have been in my mid-20s in 84. It was before I graduated. 84 is the year I began college. So I began college in 84, and I ultimately graduated in 91.
We have a super chat from Black Cat 997. $20. We're having chicken tonight.
Am I allowed, Archie? Even though it is my show, I do nothing without permission.
We are having Chinese tonight.
To thank the Black Cat 997. And may I ask a question of the audience?
Let me just read his super chat. The people involved in this discussion have an exceptional relationship with the truth. I believe everything they say. The old date just from the 70s and 80s. They are the pitfalls of owning these items.
I don't have a date just from the 70s and 80s.
You got a 90s one.
My date just was bought in 2005. Here it is.
That's fucking beautiful. I've had something similar to that.
This was the beginning of my watch collection, the beginning of it. Even though
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Did your dad ever have a fountain pen? Was he into pens? Anything like that?
No. He passed on to me his father's. Well, I'm not sure if it was his father's or my mother's father's fountain pen, my grandparents.
Can you please take that duofold off? I don't want you to break it. You're going to break it putting it on your shirt there.
I that's where I keep my pen, by the way. I always have. I don't put it in the pocket. It's just a thing, unless I'm wearing a suit. I have the dual fold from my grandfather. So my father passed that along. I also have the pocket watch from my grandfather. Which one, I don't know, because I never met them. I'm not sure. I could bring that up and show it to you next week, too.
So your sisters inherited millions, whereas you got a box of shit.
I don't know what they inherited. I got
you got a box of shit.
A small check. I got a small check, very small. I think we determined it was probably suitable to replace the wheels on two BMWs. And and then I got a box of valuable, well, not monetarily valuable necessarily, valuable personal.
Are you still on good terms with your sisters? I should say.
I have always been on good terms with my sisters. had an encounter or a thought of negativity of them. It may it may not go both ways, but I will also add that I believe love is pardon me. I believe blood is a poor excuse to be friends or to love. So blood has no impact. It's all about relationships. And you know, that's because I am adopted. I know that's a fact. You don't have to have blood to have true love to someone. And blood is just an excuse because it doesn't provide anything.
Who was a bigger influence, your father or your mother?
My mother. My mother was a strong, powerful woman who my father listened to. She was a wise woman, and she gave lots of advice and thoughts. And my father went along with the program. My mother.
They were happily married?
A very classy lady. Tomorrow on my Facebook, I do an annual. In fact, I have a text message from at least one friend who said, Marcus, I'm waiting for my favorite Facebook post of the year, which is titled, My Mother is Dead. And I do My Mother is Dead post that could stop traffic. It is a tribute to how wonderful a woman she was, and my father too. But he doesn't. He gets that on Father's Day.
I must tell you, it's an absolute honor doing this show with you here today, and we're going to wrap this baby up soon. But I am going to send the audience to my other show. I just want to say today was really great. I just like to interview you, talk to you about middle class, upper middle class life in America. I'm really intrigued by your life's journey, and I like your positivity. The positivity is very cool. So I definitely will be. Look, I reckon that's the way I like to ask questions about your upbringing and things that you have done in your life. I find that very, very, very soothing.
Well, I hope it's interesting to people that are watching. I enjoy talking with you. You're a genuine person. We all have some shtick behind us. If those who don't know what shtick is, you can look it up. But in the end, we're just who we are, and we like to help people and make people happy, and try to be governed in this earth by godly influences.
Guys, that's the show for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Well, next week. Next week.
6:30 California time, Pacific time.
Thank you, sir. We're going to run the outro. Just stay on there.